A very good afternoon to our listeners. Once again, it's always an exciting time to come before you every Wednesday with your favorite on-air business development program, Masterclass. Masterclass comes your way every Wednesday at 1:15 p.m. and runs all the way through to 2 p.m. here on your superstation Joy 99.7. It's the 7th of November today, last month before Christmas. Like I always say, Christmas is here. I used to say Christmas will soon be here, but now I say Christmas is here because Christmas is just next month. And as a business, these are the questions that you should be thinking about. Have you started planning to take advantage of the season? Have you thought of promotional sales? Have you started to increase your advertising, probably, in preparation for the Yuletide? Have you thought of a strategy to push out the remainder of your stock, most probably even before the end of the year? Have you started planning for next year? Have you started budgeting, thinking of things to put together and plan in terms of your income, in terms of your expenditure? If you haven't thought of any of these things yet, then time is almost out for you. Now is the time to do that so you can stay ahead of the competition. And our prayer always on the show, as has always been, is that God bless our homeland Ghana and definitely make our nation great and strong. On this note, we welcome all our cherished listeners once again to your best program on air for business development, which is Masterclass. My name is Yabana Fo and I'm the host for the show. In today's show, we're going to be talking about something slightly different from what we've been discussing in the last 5 weeks. In the last 5 weeks, we have been talking about public relations in all of its aspects, public relations and your business, dealing with the various stakeholders. And we had with us in the studio AC Asuman Johnson, taking us through that process. We've learned quite a bit, and one of the things that I have taken away from that process essentially is that in public relations, you do not wait and have a knee-jerk reaction. You are proactive about it so that you gain brownie points, if you like, and you gain forgivability, so that you build yourself a good brand, a good posture, so that when something goes wrong, your stakeholders are able to forgive you. And that's one thing I have taken away from that process. 5 weeks. I hope you have taken away something as well. In today's discussion, we have a slightly different topic. We'll be talking about creating or crafting a winning value proposition for a profitable business. Crafting a winning value proposition for a profitable business. And we're going to be having that discussion here with one of our favorite resource persons on the show. He's been with us since Masterclass started in all of our programs, in the person of Mr. Thompson Chua. Tom, you're welcome to the show. I like to call you Tom. I don't know why.
Hi, y'all. Just call me Thompson. Good afternoon, everybody out there.
Right. It's absolutely brilliant to have you here. I mean, every time I know that you're going to be a part of the show, it's exciting for me because you bring so much value, to our discussions. And then when the questions come through from our listeners also, you are able, to give them answers that are clear and straight to the point. And I'm hoping that today we'll have such a discussion.
I hope so too.
But and again, I think that, looking at the topic, crafting a winning value proposition for a profitable business, I think it's so apt a discussion because just when I was introducing the show, I was talking about planning for next year. I was talking about reviewing what you've done for this year and planning for next year. We're going to be going into that detail very shortly, but just by way of an outlook, what should listeners look forward to in today's discussion? Crafting, a winning value proposition for a profitable business. For those who even have, let's say, businesses already, what should today's discussion help them, to think or to strategize in terms of their business going forward into 2019?
Look at it this way, Yao. Nobody walks into a shop where he can't get what he needs. Nobody walks into a shop where customer service is poor, right? You walk into a shop because you want to walk out smiling. You've gotten what you need. You've gotten what you want. You're happy. They've added value to you. They have touched your lives. And that's what value propositions really are all about. If your business is not adding value to people, then it is indicative of the fact that your value proposition is weak. And possibly one or two things I'll tell you today, you out there, may help you recraft your value proposition. Take a second look and put you in a position for a better 2019.
Positioning yourself strategically.
Exactly.
Right. I'm excited about this already, and I'm hoping that our listeners will stay with us. Keep your dialogue right here Once we start, the discussions, at some point we'll open the phone lines, and then by all means we want you to be a part of that discussion. I like for them to ask questions. I like for them to share their perspectives and their thoughts, because out of those experiences, like I've always said here on the show, that life is too short to make all the mistakes yourself. So learn from somebody else's mistakes, and when they share these experiences, other people who are thinking of starting a business in 2019, thinking, this is the year for me to go ahead and do it, they learn and they say, okay, somebody, fell there. I don't want to fall there. So then you learn from that experience, and then you move on.
Exactly.
Right.
There's no need for you to fall. Learn from
where someone else has fallen.
Exactly.
Right, time check in the studio, 22 minutes past the hour of 1. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass right here on your superstation. We'll take a short music break. This one is from Joe Metal, and it says Amen, featuring Ntokozo Mbambo. Let's take a listen.
Against us, let your kingdom come, amen, amen, and your will be done, amen, amen, let your kingdom come, amen, amen, and your will be done, amen, everybody, amen, amen, amen. Amen, 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 amen,
That was Amen by Joe Metal featuring Ntokozo Mbambo right there. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your superstation. Time check in the studio, 25 minutes past the hour of 1. And in today's discussion, we bring you something slightly different, but something to help you prepare for 2019 as a business, as an entrepreneur, as someone who owns a small shop somewhere, someone who owns a big shop somewhere. And the topic for discussion today is crafting a winning value proposition for a profitable business. Crafting a winning value proposition for a profitable business. In the studio to discuss with us this interesting topic, if you just tuned in, is one of our favorite and foremost resource persons when this show started, about 2 years ago, and the person of Mr. Thompson Chua. Tom, I know I've welcomed you already, but for those who have just tuned in, I welcome you again.
Thank you, Yao.
But talking about this, this topic, crafting a winning value proposition for a profitable business. I said earlier that this could have come at a better time because we're planning for 2019.
Yeah.
What are the points to look out for? Why should anyone take the opportunity to pay attention to whatever the propositions are, either to go to the bank to make a loan, either to go to the public to sell a product, either to package something and say, we've changed our name, we've moved, we've merged, we've acquired. All of that can come under this discussion if I look at it depending on the perspective you look at it. So what exactly about crafting a winning value proposition are we looking at in this discussion as we prepare for 2019?
Okay, my headline would be winning customer advantage in a changing market. Let's face facts. The market today isn't what it was 5 years ago. Yeah. So the question is this: how do you stay in the mind of the customer in such a way that the customer comes to you over and over again and doesn't think about competition. And that's what customer advantage is all about. But if you have a weak, a struggling, a non-existent value proposition, you will not be in the customer's mind. And if I can go straight ahead, I'll share some tips. I want to share the thinking behind a solid value proposition. Let me start with a quote by Anthony Volodkin, who is Hype Machine's founder. He said, "Be undeniably good. Be undeniably good. No marketing effort or social media buzzword can be a substitute for that." No marketing effort, no social media buzzword can be a substitute for being good. When you are good, you are good. That's the reality. Today, people are trying to use digital marketing to try and just force themselves into the minds of customers. But when the customer engages you, what value do they really derive from your business, from your product, from your service? Let me say this, and what we need to understand is this. People are smart, and they know what they want. They know what they want. When I walk into a shop to buy a pair of shoes, I know the type of shoes I want. I may not be able to describe it to the attendant. So the attendant tries to force something on me. I'm going to say no because I know what I want. So bombarding people with your ideas, your marketing campaigns will not work. There's value they are looking for. So the first thing you need to do is to address your offering. The value you say you want to add to people's lives, you need to take a second look at that, because you are not going to make an impact in society, which I like to call social impact. And I'm not talking about corporate social responsibility. No, put that aside altogether. You're not going to make a social impact. You're not going to see your brand becoming a strong brand in the market, in society, right, through marketing campaigns. I can tell you one or two of the field banks had some nice marketing campaigns going around before their banks collapsed. Okay? So the first thing you need to understand, people are savvy, people are changing, so you need to get into this new game. Sean Rad said something. He said, data beats emotions. Data beats emotions. We need to understand, we're trying to use marketing campaigns, social buzzwords, WhatsApp, SMS messages to just hit at people's emotions so they come and buy. That's the wrong way. Emotions, sixth sense, common sense, intuition can never eliminate the beauty of facts and figures. We must deliberately determine the value we claim we want to add to people's lives and tweak it for maximum effectiveness. What that means is that we need to get to understand our customers better. We need to come to understand what their needs really are, what their pains are, what their challenges are, what their aspirations are, because that is where, and let's go financial now, that's how you can make real money. If you can help me achieve my aspirations, then you're making new money, good money. On another channel altogether, a radio channel, I heard somebody advertising about a product that helps people go abroad to study. I won't mention any names. But we know that there are a lot of people who have challenges trying to achieve that. So I can hazard a guess and say that he's solving a problem, some pain points and some aspiration points for people. So I share with you another quote by IKEA's founder, Kamprad. He said, the most dangerous poison is the feeling of achievement. You started this show saying, if you haven't asked some questions, then, you need to check yourself. That's because some people have a feeling of achievement, have done so well, and they're settled. He finishes his own quote saying, the antidote is to every evening think, what can be done better tomorrow? Now, the reason a lot of businesses have weak value propositions, outdated value propositions, is because they have become satisfied, They have relaxed on their oars. They feel that they're on a beach in the Bahamas. When there's so much value to be gleaned out there in the market, there are so many lives that are going to be changed. You know, it shocked me one day, when somebody told me that the Nigerian population would be 400 million by the year 2050. It will shock you the more that the Ghanaian population is going to be 51 million by the year 2050. 2050 is not far away. Imagine what your business can do between now and 2050. Imagine how you can set up your business to change a lot of lives that are going to come into being. But a lot of people are not thinking that way. And let me just share with you some statistics. We have an international firm called CBI Insights, and they have done postmortems. You know, when people pass away, the doctors do their postmortem. Was it cancer? What led to this man dying suddenly? And they have done a lot of postmortems about businesses. Businesses, you know, literally passing away. And when they did the postmortem, getting out competed by competition ranked number 4, but only 19% of businesses had that problem. Not having the right team had a higher score of 23%, coming in 3rd, bronze medal. Running out of cash, we always talk money, came in 2nd, but at 29%. But you'll be surprised at the biggest reason why they say from their research that businesses fail. With 42%, no market need. No market need, which means the value these businesses said to themselves the market needs was false. The customer segments didn't need that. They really weren't adding value to the lives of people. And that's where the term, you know, when you play a video game, you play, and all of a sudden, you have lost all your lives. You see one big sign that comes up, game over. That's why we can see a lot of businesses are closing shop every day. I've seen that so many times. I live around Spintex. A spa opens, then it's gone. Weeds are growing outside. A lot of businesses are struggling. And this is symptomatic of a weak value proposition. Essentially, what I'm trying to say here is that businesses must design a solid value proposition, and I'll rather say propositions, and I'll explain why, to win in the marketplace. What is a value proposition in real terms? A value proposition essentially is based on the bundle of products or services that are going to add value or create value to a specific customer segment. A specific customer segment, because no business has one customer segment. They have multiple customer segments. And each customer segment speaks to a why. You need to understand the why of this customer segment. So, you work with a bank. So let's use the banking example, shall we? So, let me ask you. You work with a bank. Let me see if you score full marks here. So, what are the customer segments in your bank?
Essentially,
I mean, top level. I mean, what type of customers does your bank deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so essentially, I mean, like you said, some targeting, customer segmentation would have to be done. So if you're developing a product, and that product, for example, let's say is an e-product,
yes,
then you're looking at, as a bunch of people within a certain business grouping.
Yes.
To which this product will help. For example, I mean, if you're looking at the e-switch, that was something we talked about earlier on. You're looking at people getting their salaries on their cards.
Excellent.
Being able to transact easily on their cards. So that segmentation would cut across a wide area of people who need this particular service. And that's a need that you talked about earlier.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're talking about employees, individuals.
Yeah.
Good. Now, assuming you have an SME, he may want to use that to pay for bills. So you have SMEs. Then you have the corporate guys. They may not so much use that card. So you see, you have different segments. And every segment has their why. Every segment has their why. And your value proposition, the bundle of it, you must have a value proposition for the corporates. You must have a value proposition for the SMEs. You must have a value proposition for people like me and you, the individuals. right? Talk about the oil marketing companies. I drive in with my car. I'm just an individual. What's your value proposition for me? You have a small company somewhere down 2 streets from the station, and they have the need for petroleum products. What's your value proposition for them? Then you can have a bank like Carl Bank who has a fleet of cars. What's your value proposition for them? So you need to understand the why of each customer segment to be able to have a what. To have a what for them. What's that what? The what is the value proposition. So let's take a little bit more detail here. So you focus on the most significant jobs, that's number 1, they are doing. What are their severe challenges, number 2. And then what are their most relevant goals? What are the aspirations, number 3. Okay, so let's take, for instance, the oil marketing company example, and let's take a bank that has a fleet of cars. So what do they do regularly? Their number 1 job could be they send marketers out there to win new clients. That's a job they have. Okay? And another job is when they go out, they must look good when they go out. Right? Now you can imagine a bank executive with his suit, his tie, an account officer riding up to your company on a bike, aka Okada. Not looking good because there was no fuel at that point in time and he had to get to that appointment. So from an emotional perspective, right, you can say that that job wasn't lived up to, right? Okay, so they have some serious challenges. They have some goals. What are their goals? When they get there, they want to be able to sell products. Okay? They want to be able to sell products. One of their challenges is that they will be compared to other banks. Yeah, it will surprise you. Some people walk with you to the car park to see what car you came in. And, you know, your company gave you one of those smaller 1.2 liter engine cars, and others are coming in a 2 liter engine car. I won't mention any brand names so nobody feels bad, right? So at the end of the day, you want, these are your challenges. So I, as an oil marketing company, I have to look at what can I offer you at my station that will add value to what you are trying to achieve. My team needs to get out there and get out there on time. So I come up with a special fueling time for your cars. I reserve 2 pumps just for your cars. I organize my attendants at my station just to park your cars neatly, line them up one by one, and I can start fueling from 5 a.m. Normally we start by 6 a.m., but just for you, your cars, I can do that earlier. Now, that is making an impact. That is helping you solve some of your jobs. It's helping your guys go out there to look good. That's a good value proposition for you. Other stations might not even think that far. After all, is it not for you to drive up to the pump and fuel and we'll come and collect the money in your office? They don't even think to do some special billing to make life easy for you, or a special reconciliation methodology to make life easy for you. So without thinking about what your customer segment does on a daily basis, what his challenges are, or her challenges, what the aspirations they have are, you can never truly add value, and that means your value proposition isn't where it ought to be.
Right. I mean, interesting thoughts there, trying to understand. I mean, essentially what I'm picking, I've got a few questions for you, yeah. But what I'm picking from your discussion is that the offering has to, first of all, be based on a certain identified need. That's number 1. When you've identified that need, in packaging that offering, you can call it a product or whatever, you've got to understand what segment of the market you're dealing with. Either it's going to one segment or it's going to a number of segments. And the differences in those segments and the behavior patterns and, should I use the word, idiosyncrasies?
Yeah.
In which case you would, for example, like you gave the example of the bank with a fleet of cars, you would then be able to say, because, let's say, fueling 100 cars at a go would take 2 hours, and I don't want that 2 hours to affect my service to the general public, I can do that and make a special accommodation and say, bring your cars in at X time and we will make that accommodation just for you. That's also understanding the customer's business and what they need and going the extra mile for them. Because in all of that, you've got to be able to also assure the customer, and they need to have that confidence in you and in the product that you're selling.
Exactly.
Brilliant. I mean, these are interesting thoughts. Time check in the studio, 42 minutes past the hour of 1. We want to be opening the phone line shortly so that you can be a part of this discussion. We're talking about businesses here. We're talking about crafting a winning value proposition for a profitable business. And under that, if you like, the subtopic here is the winning customer advantage in a changing market. Winning customer advantage in a changing market. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we want to open the phone line so that you can be a part of this discussion. We want to hear what you have to say, what your thoughts are, and how, we can all become better for it as a country. We'll take a break now.
The masterclass is in session, and you can interact with us via Facebook at Joy Business or at Joy 99.7 FM. And if you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM. Don't forget to hashtag masterclass. You can also send us a text on 1422 across all networks, or join the WhatsApp conversation on 0244 340437, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
Right, if you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your Superstation, and we're opening the phone lines now. We're discussing the issue of a winning customer advantage in a changing market, and to have that discussion with us, we have in the studio Thompson Chua, who has been one of our resource persons from when this show started. We're talking about some interesting things. What are you offering the public? What is in it? Is it based on data for that particular industry? Is it based on a certain need? And I like that research you shared. We talked about 42% of businesses. I have a question for that, when I come back to you, but 42% of businesses in a certain period went bust because there was no customer need. That's an interesting statistic. Yeah. But just to put the phone lines out quickly, if you want to give us a call, and by all means, please do. Numbers to call are 0302 216 541. That's 0302 216 541. Or you can send us a WhatsApp on 0244 340 437. That's 0244 340 437. Numbers to call again, 0302 216 541. We're discussing positioning yourself strategically for 2019. A winning customer advantage. What can you do differently, if I can put it in plain terms? What can you do differently for your business or for the business you're about to put up or establish as we go forward into 2019 and as we go forward beyond 2019? Because again, we've had some statistics of Ghana's population currently being between 27 28 million, but in about 30 years we're going to be looking at some 51 million. Nigeria, we've had the same statistic, currently is about some 200 million. It's going to go up to about 400 million again in those same 30 years. One of the things that affects you as a business person, apart from all the other dynamics, is that you are going to gain an extra 200 million people if you're in Nigeria, or an extra 30 million people if you're in Ghana, who may have the chance of looking at your product and making a decision to say, I want to work with you. Even if you get 1 million of those people for your business, that's going to give you some some things to think about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So by all means, give us a call, or pick up that phone, give us a call, or send us a message. Thompson, I want to ask this question. One of the things you said was, and I've forgotten the person who shared that, but you said, okay, before I ask that question, I'm going to go back to the market need. What happened to these companies? What would you say happened to them? 42% of businesses within a certain period, when a certain post-mortem was done, went bust because there was no customer need for their business or for the product they were offering. Now, we've always talked about identifying the customer need, making sure that your business fills a certain need. And we've also talked about people going into business because someone else is doing it and all of that. Would you say that the problem here for those companies were, one, they didn't do enough research and so they went in blind, or number two, they did go in right, they did do the research, but time moved and they didn't move, they stayed where they were? Which of these two would you say was a reason probably why, some of these companies went bust? And the lesson there may apply to our context here also in Ghana. Why would a company go bust? Because there's no customer need. Yeah,
Sorry, let me just
clear my
throat.
That's fine.
One thing is to align your business to how customers measure success.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, you have, forgive me, my throat's feeling funny.
That's fine.
You have oil marketing companies measure success by volumes they sell.
Mm.
Let me ask you, how do you measure success when you buy fuel?
Well, I mean, I know that a certain amount of fuel is measured in liters, so I'm expecting it to take me as long as possible. I dare say I sometimes expect magic that depending on where I buy it from, it may take me a longer distance and people actually do that. These are little things, but people prefer to buy from certain places because they get more mileage. I don't know how that happens, but
so you are looking at it from a quantity perspective.
Precisely.
In terms of how much has actually gone into my tank.
Yeah.
Now, my wife told me the other day she's no longer going to go to one of the biggest oil marketing companies because anytime she goes to that station, she feels like she doesn't get the same quantity based on the time it takes her when she fills her tank. So they've lost a customer.
Yeah.
They have a value proposition of accurate quantity, but in real terms, right, you find out that they are measuring based on what? How many liters did we sell? Not is the customer satisfied with us by quantity, quality, and you can easily check these things. When you go into the company, you'll see the metrics that they keep.
Right.
That's number one, Yao. The second thing I'll talk about, and Yao, you guys have been advertising. Well, I'm going to be having a workshop on this next week.
Okay.
And a good reason to attend it is this. And to answer your question is that we are in changing times. The market is changing.
It's changing, yeah.
And why is it changing? Because the customer is changing. The customer of 5 years ago, how did he used to communicate, Yao? SMS.
That's correct.
Today, how does he normally communicate?
Oh, there's a lot of channels. I mean, social media is all over the place.
Exactly. WhatsApp is the primary thing. So imagine telco companies have lost a lot of revenue from the SMS line. It's not just telco companies that have been affected. Everybody's being affected. And if that is true, then your value proposition of 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, you need to take a second look at it.
Yeah.
Okay? Do we have a caller?
Not yet.
Okay, good. Also, you started your business 2 years ago. Have you validated your value proposition? Have you looked at it? Have you tested it to see, is it really working? Are people happy with the value I claim I'm giving to people?
So essentially what you're saying is that periodically there should be a review of whatever studies were done before you went into the business. Number one, to determine whether people are getting the values that you set out to give them. Or number two, whether even the consumer patterns have changed.
Exactly. Their thinking has changed. A lot of the things we used to do 5 years ago are not the things we do today. That's the reality. Some businesses opened up, let's say, the traditional chop bar and things like that. But social media has caused us to become more sedentary. We don't move. We're on WhatsApp round the clock.
Instagram.
Exactly, round the clock.
A friend of mine said, there was this guy who I used to work with, and everything he'd snap and put on Instagram. And at one point I said, why'd you put everything on Instagram? I mean, even when we went out to eat lunch, he would take a photograph of his food and put it on. I said, why'd you put everything? He says, it's called Instagram, yeah, not Latagram.
Exactly. So, and because of that, part of your package, your value proposition is come out and have fun. But our smartphones are locking us at home. You can wake up in the morning, some individuals, and be on their bed for 2 hours on Facebook.
Even worse, you can be in a party surrounded by 10 people and be on your phone.
Exactly. Right? So the reality is, have you validated your value proposition? And that's why your chop bar may not actually be doing well. How do you get them to come to your chop bar? That becomes another question altogether.
Right. Would you again also say, and I mean, for me, this is the second question, but before I ask that, let me just put the phone lines out. This is Masterclass here on your Superstation. We're discussing our businesses and positioning ourselves strategically for 2019. What is the product that you are offering or the service you are offering, and how are you packaging or presenting it so that people will begin to look at it a bit more? Going forward into 2019. If people have been looking at it, it's great. But you want them to look at it a bit more because then you're going to get the numbers in. How is a customer, feeling at the end of dealing with you and at the end of taking whatever product you are offering to them? Are they happy with it? Do they want to come back? Are they going to recommend you? These are the discussions we're having here on Masterclass. Pick up that phone, give us a call, 0302-216-541. Tell us about the position of your business. What have you done in your business that makes customers keep coming back? And what recommendation will you give to people who are listening today who say that, look, I'm struggling with my business, the numbers are not coming in. How do I turn my business around? Pick up that phone, give us a call. Otherwise, you can also send us a WhatsApp on 0244 340 437. You shared something again, earlier on when you were talking, and you said that achievement, the feeling of achievement is sort of the beginning of a downward trend in your business, if you like. The question I ask, so should achievements not be celebrated? That's not what you said, but I mean,
Exactly.
I'm trying to find the middle ground here. I'm a big business. My projected sales for a particular year was, let's say, 10 million turnover revenue. My books tell me I've done 25 million in revenue. So if I deduct my cost of sales, my projected let's say profit was about, let's say, 7 million. But I've got twice that number now. So I'm excited. Shouldn't we cut ourselves some slack and just, ride on our oars a bit and just, have a bit of fun, go to Dubai, pay everybody a big bonus and, give them a holiday if you like. What's the difference between that and what you're talking about, which is over-enjoying, if there's a word like that, that achievement, and as a result, staying in one place and then it beginning to affect your business?
We must celebrate ourselves. We must celebrate our achievements, our successes, but complacency, getting comfortable and believing that, yes, we have arrived, is what kills a lot of businesses. Unfortunately, the market is not going to wait for you to get over your
euphoria.
celebration.
Yeah.
Exactly. My first boss in sales used to say, there is no past glory in sales. Contextually, what he was telling us is, last year you did excellently well. You hit 150% of the sales target in volumes, in cash margins, and whatnot. However, this is this year's target. We need to think differently. We need to innovate. We need to move to the next level, right? And if we don't do that, and we keep on saying, oh, we did well last year, we did well last month, we're not going to do well today. We're not going to do well tomorrow. I'm putting it in context. Every value proposition and customer segment sits in the business model. Now, if the customer segments are changing in the way they look at things, and your value proposition is changing, it means that your business model necessarily
Should change
must
alongside,
change
right.
to accommodate those changes. Now, those changes to your business model must be part of your strategy going forward. Now, if you're too much in celebration mode or I've achieved mode, what's going to happen is that you're going to continue to use the same business model for a different value proposition.
Hold that thought for me one second. I've got Joe from Tema. Good afternoon, Joe. You're welcome to Masterclass.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right. Talk to me, Joe.
Yeah, my question is, your host is talking about value change. That's true. Before business, we thought it was a place being put into consideration with the location of your business. But today now we have a lot of channels to advertise your business. Are we not going to look about the attitude set up about people, how they conduct themselves before their clients?
Okay, so if I understand you, you're referring to the attitude of entrepreneurs towards clients.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Joe. Please keep listening. We'll try and address that. So again, I think he's sort of addressing the point you made earlier. It's part of what you said, but what Joe is asking is for us to emphasize a bit more on the attitude towards customers. I mean, we're talking about the entire offering here,
Okay.
but he wants us to be able to look at service quality, service attitude directly over the counter when you're serving that client. He wants us to harp a bit on that for him.
And I mean, Yao, I think this is a song we have been singing over and over again. And that's let me put it this way, right? When I walk into a shop, part of the total value proposition for me is customer service. Right? You can't have great products or great service and a lousy attitude. Because it's just like having an argument. You want to correct me and you start to shout at me. Let's be realistic. It no longer becomes a question of what I did wrong. It becomes a question of how you're talking to me.
Right.
At the end of the day,
You lose me completely.
exactly. We part ways, nobody's happy, and I'm not corrected. And it's the same thing in the customer scenario. I walk out of the shop because the way you engaged me wasn't positive.
Right. I think I've got another caller on the
Okay.
line. Let's take that call and then. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Masterclass.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Right, talk to me, please.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, you're welcome to Masterclass. You're on air. Please go ahead. Okay, I think I've lost our caller there. But we've got a few more minutes on the show. What's a takeout from today's show? We're talking about positioning yourself as a business, making sure that you are ready for 2019 and beyond. So what offering do you have? How can you spruce up that offering if you like? Shake it up, prepare it, change some of the need analysis you've done. Look at your target audience. Maybe the target audience has changed. One thing is for sure, the consumer behavior has changed greatly today. What is a summary of our discussion today as takeout in about 2 minutes?
The first thing I'll say, Yao, is this. I'm quoting Einstein.
Right.
We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used to create them.
That
speaks to the need for personal development and the need for business development. As an individual, you need to build yourself, you need to build your business, which means you need to ask yourself a lot of questions. The first question I'll ask our listeners out there, those who are into business, is what will your future strategy be? Would it be powered by a fresh value proposition, or would you be doing this? Would you be doing the same old thing? So you need to take a step back. You need to look at your customers all over again, and you need to ask, how am I helping them fulfill the things they do on a daily basis? How am I helping them achieve their aspirations? How am I helping them solve their most severe challenges? And that means you need to start to talk with them more. And then you need to translate all these things into your business. And going forward, 2019, rest of this year, you need to entrench those things into your business model with necessary changes in such a way that you will win customer advantage in the market. That's a major takeaway, I would say.
Major takeaway. This has been Masterclass here on your Superstation. The discussion essentially is try and understand and engage a bit more who your stakeholders are, your customers, understand them, understand that times have changed and things have changed. I like what you said about Einstein, that you cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that you created the problem with. You cannot keep doing the same old things and expect new results. Thank you so much for this discussion. I wish we had a bit more time. Maybe we'll look at that subsequently. But this has been Masterclass here on the Superstation. Next week, same time, we're going to be having a discussion. Today they were meant to come through, but they are coming through next week. Some challenge participants from the Cosmos KIC Agritech. And again, we'll be engaging them also right here on the show. This has been Masterclass. Up next is the news at 2. Thank you so much for listening. See you same time next week.